Hey now, it is hot sauce time, specifically a smoky bourbon hot sauce. This is delicious. I've made this a few times before. It's obviously smoky. It's really nice and spicy with the scotch bonnet peppers that go in there. It's got some sweetness from some peaches that are in it, and it's got this nice kind of bourbon kick that goes on in the back end, which is delicious. Best of all, it's also fermented, so it will last for a long time in the fridge, assuming you don't eat it all, and it's full of good probiotic bacteria. So anyway, let's check out the produce here. So starting off, I've got 3 pounds of peppers. So it was 1 pound of these scotch bonnet peppers, and then I had 2 of these kind of larger jalapeno peppers, and then 2 yellow and 2 orange bell peppers, and that made up the 3 pounds right there. And I've got 6 cloves of garlic, really nice big cloves of garlic, 4 peaches, good to go. I've got a large white onion, and then a couple of big gnarly garden carrots here. So I'm going to go ahead and start the prep work. So I'm just going to cut the tops off of the jalapeno peppers. And of course, I'm wearing gloves here because I don't want to wind up burning myself later. I'm also going to cut the tops off of these scotch bonnets. So I'm going to go ahead and process all of those. And then I'm just going to have the bell peppers here. And that's going to allow smoke penetration all the way through. So I'm going to get all these things done up here. I'm also going to go ahead and peel the carrots, give them a rough chop, as well as giving a rough chop to this onion. Well, it is time to smoke. I just threw all of the produce on here. So you can see I've got those peppers all nicely stemmed, bell peppers halved. I actually also halved and pitted out the peaches, and then just kind of a rough chop on those carrots and just thick slices of onion. And I threw the garlic in here too. So everything's in here. I've just got my my pit boss on the smoke setting, and I'm going to give them probably about 20 minutes here of just some nice gentle smoke. So after 20 minutes, I kind of looked at these things and made the executive decision to give it a bit more time. So I wound up leaving these on here for 45 minutes. And now I'm just getting the barbecue grill heated up so that I can get these peppers on there and get them charred up nicely. I'm going to go do these peppers up in 2 batches just so that I can kind of control stuff a little bit better. So kind of these, the bell peppers and jalapenos first, and then our scotch bonnets. So while these were cooking, I got the scotch bonnets back in the smoker, and now that all of these peppers are nicely charred up, I'm just going to switch them and let these keep smoking while the scotch bonnets cook up. And of course, I just wanted to get a nice little bit of char on these peaches, so I'm going to let those do their thing there and get everything inside. Alright, so now that I've got everything back in the house, I'm going to go ahead and remove the majority of the seeds from the peppers. If there's like a little bit left in there, that's certainly not a big deal, but I'm just going to go through and quickly do that, and then it's time to actually blend everything up. Alright, so I've got all the chilies in here so far, and all the peppers. I don't have currently room for anything else, but we're going to give this a blitz. Actually, I'm going to just add a little bit of water to that to make sure it works. And just jam the last of this down here to get that going. Okay, so obviously I don't have room to put everything else in here, so I'm going to get this stuff out and then add the other ingredients and blitz all of that up and then just blend it together. Alright, so I'm actually going to have to do all the peaches and onions and garlic and carrots in 2 batches here. Alright, so just in this last batch here, I'm going to be adding the salt. So that was 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup for some additional sweetness, and I'm going to blend that all up. All right, so here I've got the sauce. I've mixed it all together. I tasted it and I wanted just a hint more sweetness to it, so I added an extra tablespoon of the maple syrup here. And now I'm going to be adding to, this is everything's sanitized here with Star San sanitizer that I use in my home brewing. And that's just going to help prevent some possible infection issues here. So anyway, I'm just going to be spooning it in here. And get this all nicely filled up. All right, so now I'm just going to cover this with a touch of brine here. So this is a 2% brine solution. So just to make it easy, I did 100 mils of water or 100 grams of water and then 2 grams of just coarse sea salt. I'm just going to pour it over top like that just to create a little buffer layer over top of the actual hot sauce. And so this made 2.5 liters of sauce. So I'm just going to do the same thing here. And then we will prep these airlocks. So of course, the airlocks were also sanitized here. And rather than using water in the airlocks, I'm just going to use some of the Star San sanitizer, just in case for some reason, if any of it gets in there, it's all sanitary. And once that's filled up nicely, sanitize these, get them on. And now I can just put these in a nice kind of warmish place to ferment. We'll see how long it takes for them to get active. All right, so 2 days in, we have some obvious signs of fermentation. First of all, this separation here, it's the gas pushing everything up. And this airlock has been bouncing up and down. I actually just cleaned it out. A little bit of that brine had kind of worked itself out, but that's okay. So after 3 weeks, this hot sauce is fermented and it is ready to be finished off. Now I'm going to add a few things to that. First of all, we've got some bourbon. It's going to be great in there. I've got some apple cider vinegar. Now I ran out of my actual fermented real apple cider vinegar, so I'm going to be supplementing a little bit of that with some brine that I took out of a fermented green hot sauce that I made, just to get a little bit extra bacteria in there. And then I've also got 4 fresh limes. Based on how this all tastes, once I start to mix it, I might add a little bit more than what I've got here, but we'll see when the time comes. All right, so I've got the blender here and also this bowl I'm going to be using in a minute, sanitized with my Star San sanitizer. I'm just going to pop off, this is where I can use my wife's strong hands, pop off this lid here for the fermenter. And we're going to try to do this in 2 batches just because of, again, the size of this blender here. So I'm going to throw just over half into this because I do have this other half-liter mason jar as well. Something like, oh, I lost some of my sauce. Something like that. Seems like it's probably about good. And then to that, I'm just going to add half of this. I juiced those 4 limes and I got actually exactly a half cup out of it. So I'll just throw half of that in. I'll throw in half of this apple cider vinegar. Perfect. And I'm going to throw in 1 ounce of this bourbon. So I'm using flatboat bourbon. You don't have to use anything super fancy or expensive for this. I just really like this in old fashions and whatnot. I think it works well for that. And lids are up. Okay, so I'm just going to pour this stuff out, and we will do a really quick test just to see what we think about the flavor here. So I'm going to grab a second spoon, smash, and it's really nice. It's super hot, smoky. Okay, I like it. I'm just going to mix up the rest of this here. We'll mix it all together and see how everything tastes once it's all together. This is gonna be full. I'll actually just mix it like this. I can put everything else in after. All right, so I got all of that mixed up. I wound up adding 2 tablespoons of that that brine from that other hot sauce, again, just to kind of get a little bit more of that bacteria in there. I did throw in a 1/3 ounce of that bourbon, and that really just kind of got it to where I wanted that bourbon level. So now I'm going to quickly get this all jarred up. All right, so I've got some 250 ml mason jars that I've sanitized with Star San sanitizer. You could do something similar just with hot water. You could also just run them in the dishwasher just to really heat them up, just because they're going to be sitting in here for quite some time. Even with all that really healthy bacteria in here, it's just kind of handy to start with a relatively clean slate inside the jar. So I'm just going to quickly get these all bottled up. So after I got these all jarred up here, I got 12 jars, well, I guess almost 12 jars. These here are just going to go into the fridge. They should last at least up to a year with all that nice bacteria in there. The flavor of this is super awesome. It's smoky and sweet, just going in the door. And it's followed swiftly by that really nice, wholesome heat coming through that lasts quite a while, lingers, definitely. And so after jarring this all up, I got almost 12 jars in these 250 ml jars. So these are just going to go into the fridge. They should last at least a year with all that nice healthy probiotic bacteria in there. The flavor I'm really happy with. It's got sweetness and smokiness right in the front door, followed swiftly by that wicked heat that just stays and lingers. It's got that really nice lactic sourness going on. Then at the same time, it's got those nice bourbon notes that just kind of carry throughout and make this a fantastic, delicious hot sauce. This is good with a lot of things, especially if you take it in moderation. So yeah, hopefully you give it a whirl. And until next time, keep it at 11.